A message from the law offices of James Sokolove on mesothelioma. Mesothelioma is a rare, malignant type of cancer in the lungs, usually associated with exposure to asbestos. If you or a loved one have been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call the law offices of James Sokolove at 1-800-887-5334. That's 1-800-887-5334. 1-800-887-5334.
Your life has been devastated by mesothelioma, the rare form of cancer caused by exposure to asbestos. You have legal rights that could result in a cash settlement worth hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. And it won't cost you a cent unless you win. Our affiliated law offices have won millions of dollars for victims of mesothelioma and their families. We know how to make companies pay for their mistakes. It's a fact. Companies whose employees have developed mesothelioma because of exposure to asbestos have paid hundreds of millions of dollars to the victims and the families of deceased victims. Know your rights. Get the money and the justice you deserve. And remember, you don't pay us anything until we get money for you. Get treated with respect and dignity. Get what the law entitles you to. Get the money and the justice you deserve.
Call 800-981-5896. That's 800-981-5896.
Nursing home neglect and abuse. Nursing home neglect and abuse happens every day due to improper nursing home staffing and inadequate care. Bed sores, malnutrition, improper restraints, scalding, and even death may be signs of nursing home neglect and abuse. If you think that your loved one has been the victim of nursing home neglect and abuse, call the law offices of James Sokolove at 1-800-513-1665. That's 1-800-513-1665.
Have you undergone dialysis treatment? Certain dialysis solution additives, such as Granuflow and Naturalite, have been associated with an increased risk of heart attack, cardiac arrest, and even death. If you had dialysis and suffered a heart-related injury, or if a loved one died after having dialysis, you may be entitled to compensation. The FDA issued a Class 1 recall on Granuflow and Naturalite after it was found that the products could put patients at risk for cardiac arrest when not prescribed appropriately. Class 1 recalls are the most serious type of recall and involve situations where there is a reasonable probability that the use of a product will cause serious adverse health consequences or death. If you or a loved one has been harmed by Granuflow or Naturalite during dialysis,
call 1-800-794-4324 now for your free legal consultation. Again, that's 1-800-794-4324. 1-800-794-4324. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma, call the number on your screen now. Mesothelioma and other asbestos-related diseases such as lung cancer have been directly linked to asbestos exposure. Exposure to asbestos in mills, shipyards, or in the heating, automotive, and construction industries may have put you at risk. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma, call the number on your screen now for a free legal consultation. Secondhand exposure to asbestos may have also put loved ones at risk for mesothelioma or lung cancer. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma or lung cancer, please don't wait. Call today for your free legal consultation. You may be entitled to compensation. We're standing by to take your call in confidence. Call 1-800-255-9902. Don't delay. That's 1-800-255-9902. I am a non-attorney spokesperson for James Sokolove, Wellesley, Mass.
Attention. Federal regulations require nursing home facilities to report all abuse allegations. Sadly, a government sample study on nursing facility compliance found nearly 50% of abuse allegations in 2012 went unreported. If you suspect a loved one is suffering abuse or neglect, call Sokolove Law for a free, confidential legal consultation. The study goes on to say that of the complaints that were reported in 2012, actual physical injury was the most common. Signs of nursing home abuse or neglect can include falls, broken bones, bed sores, dehydration, and malnutrition. If you believe your loved one has been the victim of abuse or neglect, report it immediately and speak with an attorney to help protect their rights.
Call Sokolove Law today for a free legal consultation at 1-800-353-0060. That's 1-800-353-0060. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
I'm a non-attorney spokesperson. Have you had your disability claim denied or canceled? In recent years, Unum Group was fined millions of dollars after being accused of wrongly denying disability claims. Fighting a big insurance company can be difficult. If you're unable to work due to a disability, don't give up. Call now for a free legal consultation. Disability pay may replace half or more of lost income.
Call 1-800-584-8960 now. Again, that's 1-800-584-8960.
I am a paid non-attorney spokesperson. Attention knee replacement patients. Have you had knee replacement surgery? Some knee replacement systems may have higher failure rates than others. If you or a loved one experienced complications after a knee replacement and you had corrective surgery or a doctor recommended you have additional surgery, you may be entitled to compensation. Call 1-800-476-1843 for a free legal consultation. Again, that's 1-800-476-1843.
I am a non-attorney spokesperson. Attention Yasmin, Yaz, and Acela users. Yasmin, Yaz, and Acela oral contraceptive drugs have been reported to cause adverse side effects such as blood clots, stroke, heart attack, kidney failure, liver damage, gallbladder disease, or even death. If you or a loved one took Yasmin, Yaz, or Acela and suffered from any of the injuries listed on the screen, you may be entitled to compensation. Call 1-800-536-8078 for a free legal consultation. Again, that's 1-800-536-8078. I am a non-attorney spokesperson. Attention, Yasmin and Yaz users. Yasmin and Yaz, both oral contraceptive drugs, have been reported to cause adverse side effects such as blood clots, stroke, heart attack, kidney failure, or even death. If you or a loved one took Yasmin or Yaz and suffered from any of the injuries listed on the screen, you may be entitled to compensation. Call 1-800-631-6843 for a free legal consultation. Again, that's 1-800-631-6843.
Attention! If you had surgery to repair a hernia, listen closely. A certain type of hernia mesh has recently been recalled after 2 studies showed higher rates of hernias reopening and additional surgeries compared to other meshes. This product may cause severe health problems, including pain, swelling, bowel obstructions, infections, mesh failure, hernia recurrence, and other health issues. If you or a loved one had hernia repair surgery in 2006 or later and suffered complications that required additional surgery, you may be entitled to compensation. Even if you're unsure which brand was used in your surgery, you may still be eligible for compensation. Call Sokolove Law now at 1-800-550-2393 for a free legal consultation. That's 1-800-550-2393. Again, that's 1-800-550-2393. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Attention, firefighters and those who worked in the construction trades decades ago. The CDC reports firefighters from the 1950s are now being diagnosed with mesothelioma at twice the rate of the general population. Exposure to asbestos while fighting fires or working as a builder, plumber, and in other trades may have put you at risk of developing mesothelioma, the deadly cancer caused by asbestos exposure. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call the number on your screen now. Firefighters, along with tradesmen and laborers who built homes and commercial buildings through the 1980s, may have been exposed to asbestos because of its wide use in home and workplace renovations. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call Sokolove Law at 1-800-801-1297. Again, that's 1-800-801-1297. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. Attention countertop stone cutters and installers. Workers who have been exposed to silica dust may be at risk of developing silicosis. California lawmakers are working to regulate engineered stone, but for many, it is too late. If you or a loved one were exposed to silica and developed silicosis or another serious illness, contact Sokolove Law. Call Sokolove Law at 1-800-985-0467. 1-800-985-0467.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. Thanks to the PACT Act, Camp Lejeune veterans can seek compensation from the federal government in addition to VA benefits. The deadline to file is approaching. Don't wait. Call Sokolove Law at 1-800-985-0467. 1-800-985-0467.
Attention breast cancer survivors. If your hair has not grown back months after finishing chemotherapy, listen closely. A chemotherapy drug used to treat breast cancer has been linked to permanent hair loss, also known as permanent alopecia. While temporary hair loss during treatment is common, you may not have been warned that your hair loss could be permanent. Permanent hair loss has been associated with this drug for years, but the manufacturer only recently updated their warning label in the U.S. with this information. The emotional damage caused by permanent hair loss can destroy a woman's self-image and quality of life. If your hair never grew back after chemotherapy for breast cancer, you may be entitled to compensation for your suffering. Call Sokolove Law now at 1-800-123-4567 for a free legal consultation. That's 1-800-123-4567. Again, that's 1-800-123-4567. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Attention men, if you use prescription testosterone or low T supplements, listen closely. The FDA now requires makers of these products to include the risk of heart attack and stroke on their warning labels. If you suffered a heart attack, stroke, blood clots, or other severe health problems, or if a loved one died after using testosterone, you may be entitled to compensation. Call Sokolove Law, 1-800-889-1366 for your free legal consultation. That's 1-800-889-1366. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson. Attention diabetics. The FDA warns certain type 2 diabetes drugs may lead to ketoacidosis, a condition which causes dangerously high blood acid levels. Kidney problems have also been reported. If you or a loved one take Invokana or another drug listed and develop ketoacidosis, kidney problems, or were hospitalized for any reason, you may be entitled to compensation. Call Sokolove Law, 1-800-123-4567 for a free legal consultation. That's 1-800-123-4567. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
This is a paid advertisement for legal services. Attention! Depo-Provera, a birth control shot, has been linked to brain tumors. Lawsuits allege that Depo-Provera birth control injections may increase the risk of a meningioma, a dangerous tumor that grows around the brain and spinal cord. If you received Depo-Provera shots for over a year and had surgery or radiation as a treatment, you may be eligible for compensation. Call Sokolove Law at 1-800-706-2600. 1-800-706-2600. I'm a paid non-attorney spokesperson.
Este es un anuncio pagado de servicios legales. Atención cortadores e instaladores de encimeras. Los trabajadores que han estado expuestos al polvo de sílice pueden correr el riesgo de desarrollar silicosis. Si usted o un ser querido estuvieron expuestos al sílice y desarrollaron silicosis u otra enfermedad grave, comuníquese con Sokolove Law. Aunque no sea ciudadano de los Estados Unidos, puede presentar una demanda. Llame a Sokolove Law al 1-800-985-0467. 1-800-985-0467. Soy un portavoz pagado, no un abogado.
Attention, firefighters and those who worked in the construction trades decades ago. The CDC reports firefighters from the 1950s are now being diagnosed with mesothelioma at twice the rate of the general population. Exposure to asbestos while fighting fires or working as a builder, plumber, and in other trades may have put you at risk of developing mesothelioma, the deadly cancer caused by asbestos exposure. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call the number on your screen now. Firefighters, along with tradesmen and laborers who built homes and commercial buildings through the 1980s, may have been exposed to asbestos because of its wide use in home and workplace renovations. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call Sokolove Law at 1-800-801-1297. Again, that's 1-800-801-1297. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Attention! If you or a loved one developed an infection after a hip or knee replacement, listen closely. Warming blankets used during surgery to regulate body temperature may be linked to deep joint infections, which may require revision surgeries or even amputation. If you or a loved one suffered an infection after a hip or knee operation, you may be entitled to compensation. Call Sokolove Law, 1-800-277-0895 for a free legal consultation. That's 1-800-277-0895. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Attention women. If you or a loved one developed cancer after surgery to remove uterine fibroids, you may be entitled to compensation. The FDA issued a warning that surgical tools, called power morcellators, can spread deadly uterine cancer. If you or a loved one were diagnosed with cancer after having surgery to remove uterine fibroids, call Sokolove Law now, 1-800-416-2316 for your free legal consultation. That's 1-800-416-2316. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
Were you or a loved one diagnosed with lung cancer? If so, we urge you to call the number on your screen now for a free legal consultation. Lung cancer, along with other cancers listed on screen, and the disease asbestosis may be linked to asbestos exposure. Exposure to asbestos in mills, factories, power plants, or while working as a plumber, electrician, plasterer, or maintenance worker may have put you at risk. In addition, because asbestos was widely used on ships, those working in shipyards, including Navy veterans, may have also been exposed. Asbestos has been used in many commercial applications, including insulation, fireproof fabrics, automotive parts, building materials, and turbines. If you or a loved one was diagnosed with lung cancer or another asbestos-related cancer, call Sokolove Law for a free legal consultation. You may be entitled to compensation. Call 1-800-324-6908. Again, that's 1-800-324-6908. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
I'm a paid non-attorney spokesperson. Attention mothers. Were you prescribed Paxil, Zoloft, Effexor, or another antidepressant during your pregnancy? If your child was born with a serious birth defect and you took an antidepressant while pregnant, you may be entitled to compensation. Again, if you took Paxil, Zoloft, or Effexor during pregnancy and your child was born with a serious birth defect,
call 1-800-881-5985 for a free legal consultation. That's 1-800-881-5985.